Day 3, major comeback right now. Let's freaking go.
£22, 10 ounces.
Day 3! I'm gonna win this thing!
Hey, 70 pounds day. Get it checked.
I only need 45 to win, baby. I don't think 45 is winning. If I had 45, Day 3, major comeback right now. Let's freaking go.
79th position, Sergeant
145.
Probe of blade.
Probably day, baby.
Let's go.
Hard to be fired up here last.
So on day 3, I rolled down and started on the exact same places where I caught all of my fish on day 1 and 2 for 10 and 12 pounds, and it was just crazy how I rolled down here and just immediately right off the bat started catching fish. If you didn't watch the initial day 1 and day 2 video, I would recommend you going to do that. But you can tell from the way I was working that chatterbait there, this was the only section in this area of the lake that had any eelgrass. And so I was definitely popping that bait up out of the eelgrass. St. Croix medium heavy, 7.3 medium heavy rod. You could definitely tell that, that fish loaded up on it just perfect. All week in practice, I'd been catching just little buck bass, had red eyes and they were peeing, and I knew those females would be coming at some point, but that was the first one that I had caught all week. And so definitely gave me a little bit of optimism that I should be able to, stay in here all day and maybe get another few female bites. That's what my goal was at this point. That was about a 5 pounder and definitely the second quality bite that I'd had that morning. So I was optimistic at this point. You know, you stay in there, grind it out all day, maybe get 5 of those bites. And I knew I would need about 30 pounds to really climb back up and try to get paid. But, you know, this area has history. It's known as the hatchery, and I was using my 360 to find isolated patches of eelgrass. And so, you know, at this point, I'm thinking I might be able to pull it off. But unfortunately, after I caught the 5th one there, I fished for about another hour and a half and never had any other bites. And so at that point, you know, I knew I needed to pull the plug. I needed to catch 3 more solid ones. I had 2 in the big side and 3 that were just barely keepers. So I knew I needed, you know, a couple solid bites or maybe 1 giant bite to really make up some ground and climb back into this thing. So I hope you guys don't mind listening to me talk. I really think that's the best way to learn from these YouTube videos. And so, in my opinion, you got 2 big ones in the box. You know you need about 30 pounds. The best way to make up some ground is to go sight fishing. So I roll back in this creek and I'm looking around. And you can see right here, my body language changes and I spot a fish. And it's really hard to say on video how big this fish was. I mean, realistically, it was a 8 to a 10 pounder probably. I wouldn't be surprised if it was pushing 11 or 12. It was one of the biggest fish I've ever seen on bed in my life. And so I marked this fish here on bed. It's pretty easy to remember off the end of that dock, but you know, kind of in a panic, I mark it anyways, and I just roll on by it. I think sometimes it's the best thing to do. You know, I pushed it off the bed, I roll on by it, spin around, kind of stay out of the way, try to give this fish plenty of time to set back up, and I try to use this grass in the dock here a little bit to hide while I start to set up and fish for this fish. The wild thing about this fish is how quickly it spun right back around and set back up on the bed. To be one that big and push off the bed when I drove by it, I was really surprised to turn around and see it sitting right back up in the middle of the bed. Pretty much every time you see me pitching at this fish, it's sitting right in the middle of the bed, and I can't understand why it's reacting so scared, and I think this interaction here may help to explain that.
I didn't even hear you come in.
Sneaking around. I hope it's gonna bite.
I caught the male a while ago. I never could get her to sit there.
Did you really? Probably a 4-pounder, ain't you?
I was gonna give her a few minutes to come back. I never did hear no boat motor or nothing.
Huh. Yeah, I've been here for 15, 20 minutes.
She's sitting there.
Was. I can't see her right now.
Hard to see, isn't it?
Yeah, she was acting real spooky. I guess that makes sense now that you got her boyfriend. So that angler there was one of the guys in the NPFL tournament as well, and he made the comment that he had caught the buck that morning and never could get her to really do anything. But man, a lot of times once you catch that buck bass, the females have a tendency to get really spooky, and it's 50-50 really. Sometimes it helps and sometimes it hurts. And obviously in this situation, the way she's reacting, I mean, it was not a good thing. She definitely knew the deal. She knew that she was being fished for, and I don't think I should have known at this point she was about uncatchable. But as you can see, I spent way too much time trying to get her to bite. But at the same time, a fish of that caliber, when I needed to make up so much ground, I definitely don't think it was the wrong idea. Just never actually capitalized on it. I had full intentions here to head back by the ramp. I had some roommates who were catching them pretty good near the ramp, fishing some grass. But man, this was one of those just game time decisions where the current was rolling just right around some of this grass in this little cut. And I'd caught one here on a swim jig in practice. It was just a 2.5 pounder. And so with the current hitting it just the way it was, I said, man, I'll stop and make 10 minutes worth of fishing and see what happens. I'm definitely glad I did.
That doesn't suck at all. That doesn't suck one single bit. With like 10 minutes to go.
Obviously, coming into this last day, I wanted to catch 30 pounds to get paid, and this fish here, I knew it wasn't going to help me. I worked towards that goal. I needed another 6 or 7 pounder to have a chance. But we have to think about the long-term points game when you think about the season. Your top 40 make the championship. I had a couple rough first days, and so every point that you can gain back here on this final day, at the end of the year could end up being crucial. I did the math last year, and about 10 places per event is what separated me either winning AOY or missing the championship cut altogether. And so, I'm definitely going to take time to cull here and see if I can't gain an ounce or two. And that was the last fish I was going to catch of the day.
Sales, I think I was 79.
All right, so this sounds mind-blowing, but I wanted to hold these fish up here as I got them out of the live well because I really didn't know if 22 pounds was going to be enough to get my picture taken or not. They smashed them at Santee Cooper.
Grab this bag for me.
Yep.
I'm having a hard time.
Yep. You got some in it so far?
I got two little ones there.
Right.
Found a couple that grew up today.
Where's the fifth one? You got them in there too?
He's swimming, yeah.
There you go.
Would you believe it if I told you I went to the same place?
Yep. 100% I would. That's been the story. People like, dude, I was catching them in practice. They was gone. Went back to it.
On next to the stage, Carson Newman University Fishing Team Pro from Blaine, Tennessee. That man right there is bringing together the future of our youth. How about it for Mr. Hunter Hales? There's the boom right there. A nice one.
For the Carson Newman fishing coach. 20 pounds and 12 ounces on the first 2 days. I think he figured something out today. It's always about learning, youngsters. Always about learning and adjustments. 5 in the bag today. We're going to see some of these fish. 22 pounds, 10 ounces, a 3-day total of 43 pounds and 6 ounces for the Tennessee Pro Hunter Sales. Put your hands together, folks. Hunter, it's a birdie on 18, man. You want to go play another 18. That's the way it works out.
Yeah, man. Definitely nice to end the event with some positive momentum. You know, you guys probably wouldn't believe this unless you're from here, then you might. But, man, I pulled back into the same place, and finally, you know, wave of females just slid up. You know, I've been waiting on that all week. The water temperature's been getting better and better and better, and there was a ton of fish in the area. And so finally this afternoon, you know, a wave of females started to pull up, and it was a lot of fun. I wish I could go back out there tomorrow and catch them again.
I'll tell you what, you need a tournament that goes till Tuesday.
Yeah, no doubt. But hey, listen, honestly, anytime you're able to come fishing, you're super blessed. I want to make sure I thank the people that make it possible for me. Saltex, Visit Jefferson County. I'm looking forward to the Douglas Lake tournament. You know, and this year I'm running a Bass Cat. I appreciate them having tournament support here. Adds peace of mind for all of us anglers. And, you know, honestly, the NPFL, for you guys that are watching the crowd, the NPFL runs a top-notch tournament trail. I've fished with everybody, and man, I'm having a blast fishing with you guys and excited for the next one.
There you go. He felt the rush on Sunday, folks. Next.
All right, guys, what's up? All right, guys, well, just weighed them in. Had 22.10 today, almost 23 pounds. Man, it's kind of sickening, honestly, to realize what could have been. A couple fish pulled up better than average fish up on my chatterbait stuff down in the hatchery. I've milked that stuff all week and honestly never saw a decent one until today. And then at the end of the day, you know, I pulled up on that punching stretch, and I really think that deal was like going down. I started seeing activity, something I hadn't really done since the first day of practice, and I never had any bites doing it. Today, I really feel like if I'd had another hour, I could have swum up another big one. You know, and sat on that one on bed. You know, I sat on that 8 or 9 pounder for, I mean, heck, an hour and a half, 2 hours. If I'd have caught that fish, it'd been a 7-pound coal. I'd have had 30 pounds and probably got a check. So that just goes to show you, man, in these tournaments, especially in these bodies of water like Santee Cooper, like you got to fish until the very last second of the very last day, because, man, I almost messed around and climbed back into this thing. And so, you know, I'm going to be short of a check for sure, but probably going to end up around 50th. Which, you know, after being in like 85th after the first day, to climb back to 50th, you know, that's awesome to make that championship at the end of the year. Definitely feeling blessed, man. Everybody that helps me do this, Bass Cat Boats, Visit Jefferson County, Saltex, Thompson Truck Group, National Kennel Club down in Blaine, Short Mountain Trucking, man, just honestly, put my new sponsor, St. Croix Rods, 7 reels, put them to a test today. Flipping those big ones up out of the mats, you know, it's not easy, and that stuff, it felt really, really good. You know, it was nice. I flipped in there and actually felt the bite. It's something that's not been super easy, and so I'll bite my tongue on that. But yeah, definitely a good day. Batteries, Pro Guide batteries. Worked all week long with no issues, and honestly just looking forward to the next one. Ready to head up to Norman. You know, the season's got going, you know, got some momentum picked up, and I'm ready to keep fishing, man. We're gonna have ourselves a great year. I appreciate you guys keeping up with me on YouTube. Hopefully you learned a thing or two. Drop a comment below, questions, concerns. You can yell at me, criticize me, do whatever you want, but I appreciate you watching either way. See ya.